everybody. Thanks for watching our live coverage on Henri. It is likely going to be a long weekend for many folks, millions of people in the northeastern part of the country. I'm Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson. Time now is just about 7:52 Eastern Time here in Orlando, Florida. Over the next couple of minutes, we're going to get you updated on what you can expect with Henri and that area of the country, and more importantly, what that means as we head into these next couple of days. A lot of things changed at 5 p.m. This evening. Currently, there is a hurricane warning for parts of Long Island and parts of southern Connecticut. We also have hurricane watches. Tropical storm warnings are now up for New York City, the Bronx, many of the boroughs in New York. So again, this is a pretty big event that a lot of folks were not anticipating. Generally speaking, a lot of the models were indicating early on a recurve away from the U.S., but here we are about 36 hours away from a potential impact from a what should be a hurricane by the time it gets up into the northeastern part of the country, and they have not seen a hurricane landfall since 1991, so 30 years ago. So lots to get to. We're going to take a look at the app first, and then we'll get unpack all the particulars that's going on. So as you can see, you have a couple of things turned on. So generally, I don't show the paid upgrades unless there's something I'm trying to show you. So I am going to turn this off, but I do have the hurricane tracker on. You can see the path clearly here of Henri, but I'm going to show it to you as well on our software. But this is, not been a huge change since yesterday. Yesterday, the Hurricane Center did a pretty significant jog to the left or to the west by about 150 miles, and that really changed the game here for the people that are expected to be impacted from Henri. Now, we have seen some slight nudges to the left or to the west all day today, but the real dramatic shift did happen yesterday. And then, of course, the big question is just how close is it getting to Long Island? Is it making landfall in Long Island? Is it making landfall in somewhere in the southern New England states? A lot of that is still going to be fine-tuned in a couple of days. And the fact that the hurricane warning has been issued is an indicator that the Hurricane Center believes that we will have some type of impact in 36 hours or less. So that's when they issue the warnings. And so that's why it's really, all heads up, all hands on deck to really get prepared for this thing. So a couple of things we're going to be looking at. The area of low pressure that's going to become a cutoff low in the Ohio Valley. So if you look at the wind layer here, let me just toggle off the track real quick so you guys can see a little bit easier what I'm talking about here. Let me turn off the hurricane tracking layer real quick. There we go. And then if you take a look here, you can see that counterclockwise swirl. So that's that cutoff low. That's what's going to help pull kind of like a magnet Henri towards the north. And then over here on the right, to the right of the actual currently tropical storm, soon to be hurricane, is a big ridge of high pressure. So you see how the winds are rotating clockwise. Those two features, that Bermuda high and that cutoff low, are going to be the big players this weekend with Henri. And again, indications are that this will be, a hurricane sometime tomorrow, if not tonight. It's very close to hurricane strength now with winds at 70. By the way, we're going to get an update here from the National Hurricane Center pretty soon here in the next 5 minutes or less. We'll see our graphics update live. So we'll see if we get the new info here from them here while we go through these graphics. So there's a look as we take a look at the current warnings. As I mentioned, Long Island up with a hurricane warning as of 5 p.m. to this afternoon. We still have a hurricane warning for parts of southern Connecticut and along the southern New England states. There is a hurricane watch that extends over to Nantucket and then over to Provincetown. You can see that in that lighter pink. And then back towards the west, you can see the counties that are outlined in New York, in those to the south as well. Near Jersey, we've got a tropical storm watch, but new as of 5 p.m., New York City became under this tropical storm warning. So that's certainly not unheard of. Certainly this area of the country has dealt with those type of winds before. Even just last year, we had some pretty intense winds with tropical cyclones. But if we do get a landfall in Long Island or somewhere in the New England states, it has been it's been a while. It's been since 1991, as I mentioned with Bob. So also new as of 5 p.m., storm surge warnings have also been issued for a huge chunk of real estate. And the concerning thing is that, we've got several bays that are going to just be like a big fishbowl, if you will, and really have the potential to cause some pretty dangerous situations as we head into not so much tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be your final prep day, but early Sunday, we're going to start to see this, and probably even late tomorrow night, we're going to start to see the surge rise. So if you're in this area, you've got to be getting those preps done. Hopefully you're listening to your local officials, and hearing and heeding their advice, letting you know what you need to do. If you need to leave your home, please do so. Your local officials know a lot more about the topography where you live. They know about the drainage systems where you live. And even if you've lived in this area for a long time, leave it to the experts to really let you know what you need to do. So the storm surge watch is also up. You can see it over to the north and the east there, up by Nantucket, north of Nantucket, and then over by the south side there in Islip, New York. There also is a storm surge watch. So, the biggest concern is going to be in that Southampton area. We think that's where the general, trajectory is taking Henri. But again, a lot of that is going to be determined tomorrow and especially on Sunday when there could be a potential landfall. So, as I take a look here, actually, hang on, I just hit the wrong button. Let me back that up and keep that full screen, Matt, if you're on it, and we'll get to the next map. I got to go past this one real quick. But there we go. I got to hit one more. The interesting thing is that, so much of the modeling data called for a general recurve, and then really things started to take shape on Wednesday. So about 2 days ago, we really started to see some of the modeling data indicate something that was much more concerning for this area of the country. And so you can see the storm surge potential that's even up for Jersey, 1 to 3 feet. And that is, not necessarily life-threatening, but that is a big problem if you don't evacuate and you leave your car on low ground. That can loft a car easily. I do anticipate that surge to be minimally 1 to 3 feet, 2 to 4. Again, East Rockaway, Fire Island, all these areas expecting 2 to 4. But again, the largest of the surge we think is going to be somewhere near Montauk, maybe 3 to 5, and then over by those sounds up near Cape Cod and Sagamore Beach, also 3 to 5 feet. So that's really where it's a dangerous storm surge. And even though that's not some of those surges that you'll hear in a Cat 3, 4, or 5, 17 or 18 foot surge, the topography here in this region of the country does not do well with this type of entry point, if you will, of a tropical cyclone, or in this case, what is expected to be a minimal Category 1 hurricane. So the concern will be for widespread flooding and this very dangerous storm surge that is impacting large metropolitan areas. This is, not the bayous of Louisiana, not that, we want anyone to have to deal with a surge, but these are large cities with large populations. And, the concern is that that surge of 3 to 5 feet is going to start early Sunday and probably even late tomorrow. And that's really where the concern gets for this potential very dangerous, life-threatening surge if you are in a zone and you don't get out of Henri's way. Henri, I will say, has looked pretty good today in terms of presentation on satellite. It's got a big burst of convection. It's still getting some wind shear. You can see there, let me get my little pointer. You can still see where there's some shear coming in here on the south and the west side. So see how we've got a little notch right there? So indicating, again, some of that shear that's been limiting and kind of blowing those cloud tops more towards the east and not vertically stacking up like a big cylinder. But we're still seeing some magentas here, and some of those blacks are extremely cold cloud tops up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So, and I just got an update from the app. Sorry, this is Hurricane Grace, but it popped up. So let me just tell you real quick that Hurricane Grace has been upgraded to a Category 2 hurricane with sustained winds at 100 miles an hour. I'll try and get back to Grace here in just a second. So that, again, just got that notification from the Hurricane Center. Hurricane Grace that's headed towards Mexico now, Cat 2. We'll show you that before we're done on the app map. We'll go back to that before we take the stream down. So let me fast forward past this. And again, so the new update from the Hurricane Center as of 8 p.m., hot off the presses, as they say, winds still at 70. And I think a lot of that, again, has to do with the fact that we're still getting that wind shear. That's expected to stay in place, that little notch I showed you, for about another 12 hours. And then tomorrow, it's supposed to get into a more favorable area to develop. And so that's why we're anticipating this to become a Category 1 hurricane. Moving north now, and we saw that trend earlier today, so we're getting that north movement, which is key in all of this, at 7, and the barometric pressure is 994. It's about 270 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Henri is going to have to really pick up its forward pace if it's going to get all the way up here by Sunday, and indications are that it will, because that cutoff low I was talking about over the Ohio Valley is going to help, again, kind of like a magnet, for lack of a better word, pull it northward and really help pick up its acceleration. So it's expected to pick up its forward speed The question is, how fast is it going to go? I think it's going to be slower than some of the rain forecasts are calling for. So look how it says Sunday at 2 a.m. and that's a couple hundred miles off the coast of Jersey shore, the Jersey Shore there, and then it doesn't get up until the Long Island area until another 12 to 18 hours. So, and then even slow from there up into Monday, another 24 hours before it gets up to the New England states, New Hampshire, and north of Boston and north of Massachusetts. So I think that some of the rain, I'm going to show you the rain totals. I think some of those are underdone. I'm really worried about the rain. If this just kind of slugs along across the Northeast in those New England states before it finally pushes out. So, check back with that forecast, because I think one of the unknown headlines for this, among many that we're going to see, there's many headlines to this weekend, will be that rain total. So that has yet to be seen. If it picks up at speed and it goes quicker than 7, then we won't have a lot of time for it to dump a bunch of rain. But at the current path and the current trajectories from the hurricane center, it looks like it's going to be moving relatively slow and certainly slower than we want. The computer models, by the way, have been, in very good agreement since Wednesday. Of course, on the days 3, 4, 5, you get a little bit more of some inconsistency. So the further out in time you go, the less accurate. But everything, coming right in near, just right near Long Island. And we'll see if that's exactly what happens. In terms of what the hurricane hunters have been doing, they have had several flights in there. I just put in the newest info from them. So they just started 2 flights right now, and actually this is even live data that I haven't even seen. So one of the great things about the software that we use, let me bump this around and see if we can get a clearer look, because I don't have the camera point set for this, because I had it set for the last data, but we get the data live from the Hurricane Center. So there we can see it a little better. Well, I'm gonna have to rotate it around here, but it's not wanting to do it. Hang on, my camera angle is not playing ball with me. But anyway, you can see that the wind speeds here in this pass, one was 56 miles an hour, one was 48. Pressure 992, I can tell underneath that banner, and the other one was 999. So they have 2 recon missions going on. They have the Gulf Streams, which are the aircraft that fly in the higher levels of these cyclones, and then they have the Miss Piggies, or the NOAAs, the old World War II warplanes that fly at the mid levels in the surface, and so they've got both planes going, and that's why I've got them both on here. I wanted to see what the upper levels and the lower levels were doing, and this really should help tell the tale in terms of the forecast. So they're sampling the atmosphere all around the quadrants, all around the cyclone, and that will help determine how powerful that cutoff low is, how much Henri is being steered by that Bermuda high. Some of the higher range modeling, again, keeps a lot of the convection or the deeper thunderstorms on the east side, and again, indicating some of that disorganization and some of that not vertically aligned cyclone. But this particular model is the HER. I'm showing it to you because notice how it deviates to the left. So if you didn't catch that, here's the center right here. Here's the official path from the Hurricane Center. Remember, this is model guidance, so don't think, oh, this is happening, the Hurricane Center is gone. Is wrong. No, this is some of the trends with the data. Remember, the Hurricane Center puts out a new path every 6 hours, but in the course of that 6 hours, they're flying couple of recon missions, and they're also launching weather balloons every 3 hours. So there's constant data coming into these forecast products. And so this HER model shows this little hook back towards New York. And I point that out because, again, look at all this rain that could be filling down through parts that aren't anticipating much of an impact. The Delmarva, Maryland, maybe a little bit of DC, parts of, southern Pennsylvania, Philly. So we'll see if this is going to be how the determining factor, if it does hook back to the left a little bit before it rehooks back towards the right, when that cutoff low finally shunts it back out into the Atlantic. So I mentioned this because the HER is one of several models that has been indicating this little bit of a jog back towards the west. So it'll be interesting to see at 11 tonight if the Hurricane Center even shifts that path even further back towards the west. They've been nudging it all day. The biggest shift, as I mentioned, was yesterday. It was a pretty significant shift. And then we'll see what they do at 11 tonight. Anyway, rain totals, this is what I was telling you that I think could be underdone. 5 to 7. We got 5 to 7, by the way, as a gauge for you. Got 5 to 7 inches of rain out of out of Fred. I can't even think of his name. Its name, and easily got up to 10 inches. So I think some of the modeling here might be underdone. I think we could see easily 10 inches in some of these spots, especially if Henri gets in overland, slows down, we really, really could be talking about dangerous flooding, dangerous coastal erosion, dangerous storm surge, things that this area of the country has not seen in decades. So, even though this is coming in, we believe as a Category 1, it is still going to have extreme weather hazards as a Category 1. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I certainly want people to know and understand, the scope of this, because if you know and you live in the Boston area and Worcester, I showed it this morning in the fast forecast, those guys had torrential flooding from Fred, and that was just a leftover from a tropical depression. This would be a Cat 1 hurricane, so the impacts are going to be more significant than we would get from the leftovers of Fred. So I'm not trying to over dramatize, because really what we're trying to do is just get you guys ready. And I'm going to back this up a second because I wanted to talk about the winds, but this definitely is going to be something, even as a Category 1, that can have some real tangible dangerous hazards. So as I scrub this forward, watch the timeline. So most of those big winds, of course, are going to stay offshore tomorrow. So yeah, it's going to be windy, it's going to be breezy along Norfolk, along the coastal areas of Cape Hatteras, Morehead City, those areas, but into Atlantic City, up into the Jersey Shore. I'm not anticipating anything a real big deal tomorrow. And then as we get closer to, the overnight Sunday and into Monday is when those winds start to really ramp up. And early Sunday morning, if this path holds, and again, things have been changing. This has been a very fluid, this has been a really hard cyclone to forecast, by the way. It's been really, really difficult to try and pinpoint what's going on. But if this particular trend holds, then we would see direct impacts, early Sunday morning, landfall in that range of 8 a.m., 7 a.m. to noon, somewhere in that time frame, and then moving up, up into the southern New England states, and then staying in the Northeast, staying in those New England states for 36 hours, maybe 30 hours, depends. And again, that is a lot of time. Power outages, I think are going to be a problem. I've already listened to a couple of press conferences up there. I think I was listening to one before I came in Connecticut. They're anticipating widespread power outages, and they said, and I believe it was Connecticut, I may be wrong, but I believe that that press conference said to anticipate the power outages to last up to a week in some of those hard hit areas. So that, I'm hoping people are ready for that. It's summer, it's hot. It's not as hot up in the Northeast as it is down in the South if we've got a landfall down here. But, 4 or 5 days without power and you're getting pretty cranky. I've lived through plenty of hurricanes and it is not fun. So here's another guide for the wind speeds. And notice how as we get towards Sunday around 6:30 a.m., we've got, winds in the neighborhood of 24, 25 miles an hour. I think that's likely underdone. I believe I've got the GFS on this, or I may have the Euro. I can't remember. I've been toggling between the two. Euro tends to do a little bit better on landfalls. So I think this is the European data that now that I'm thinking about it. But at any rate, you can see, some of the guidance is 40, 50 miles an hour. We'll see if it's not going to be higher than that, closer to 74, with gusts higher than that for sure. So sea surface temperatures, those often are a big player, of course, in landfalling tropical cyclones. So don't look at the ones along the coast so much. We're looking at the ones that are further in the Atlantic. So 84, 85, that's plenty of latent heat right in here. It's like, when you put a lid on a pot of boiling water and all that heat just stores or a pot of hot water and it just stores and creates all that latent energy to create a boiling pot of water. That's kind of what this is. This is latent heat that the cyclones ingest, if you will, like a car. And, we use that analogy. They're like engines and they just soak up that energy and then they just spit it out at the top of the exhaust of these higher cloud tops and increase their intensity with these storms that use that energy from the Atlantic basin to fuel the storms. So once you get up in here, though, see how the sea surface temperatures are in the 70s. So that's why when we think we get up in this range, we think that Henri is likely going to level off somewhere in here where it's in the 80s. 70s is not quite as conducive. Even though we're talking about 4 or 5 degrees, 6 degrees less than the mid 80s, maybe in some degrees 10 degrees. This tends to be kind of the cutoff. It will also be north of the Gulf Stream, which is some of the warmest waters in the world. So, that's the thinking why this isn't going to balloon into a Category 2, Category 3 hurricane, because the sea surface temperatures here are going to be cool enough, and we're still going to get some interaction from the ridge over here and the low over here, some minimal wind shear that would limit it from getting a whole lot stronger. But, that being said, there has already been some surprises with Henri. None of the guidance takes it that I've seen above a Category 1, but hopefully that will indeed verify. So a look at the coastal impacts, and then again, very unusual to talk about such a wide scope of geography here, from Maine down through the mid-Atlantic, even into the Carolinas. We are anticipating increased swells, increased beach coastal erosion. Not so much in the Carolinas am I anticipating that, but definitely going to be dangerous rip currents for you guys. The impacts in terms of coastal erosion, of course, is going to be way up here, but you know, that's going to be long lasting. It's going to be a couple of days, probably even maybe even till Tuesday before we see that improve. Another look, this is my last graphic, Matt, and then we'll go back to the app real quick before we close this out. There's that cutoff low that I was telling you about. Let me again point it out right here. Cutoff low, and here's our H, and I've got this actually not positioned correctly. It's actually further out here, but there's Henri, and Henri's kind of doing a squeeze play between these two areas of low pressure and high pressure, and that's what's helping to dictate the ultimate course here in terms of the path as we get into days 3, 4, and 5. So a lot to figure out between now and Sunday, but you know, I will say that over the last couple of days we have seen a fair amount of consistency, and you know, it's just going to be a matter of how long it stays in the Northeast before it turns, and what does it come in at, and we think all the guidance is going to take it in as a Category 1. All right, real quick, Matt, let's go back to the app, and just an update. When we started this broadcast, that their Hurricane Grace has been upgraded to a Category 2 with sustained winds at 100 miles an hour, re-energized late last night, and all day today has gotten stronger, and expected to make a second landfall. It made landfall over the Yucatan Peninsula yesterday, expected to make landfall over the country of Mexico, cross Mexico, reemerge into the Pacific as another cyclone. It'll have another named storm when it gets over there, but in the short term, expected to create a lot of widespread flash flooding and mudslides. And by the way, on the larger rotation there, you can see there's been a couple of showers that have managed to make it into southern Texas. Just a couple of brief showers, nothing big, but they'll probably a little bit more of that as Grace continues to pull towards the west. All right, you guys, that'll do it for now. We're going to keep monitoring everything for you. A couple of housekeeping notes. I'll be back with the 11 p.m. We'll do another update then. Jamie Martin will be in tomorrow, manning the ship. Also wanted to let you guys know, if you follow Matthew Capucci, he is a brilliant meteorologist that is we are lucky to have joining us this weekend for our coverage. Check him out on Twitter. I believe his handle is at Matthew Capucci, and you can look for his reports. We'll have some info on him later tomorrow, on some guidance where you can find his coverage. He'll be working for us, and we'll be tagging his content on our pages, but he'll also be tagging it. We're trying to get Aaron Jack back in to intercept this hurricane. He's doing his, well, tropical storm. Let me clear up that. Right now it's tropical storm, but we're trying to get Aaron back in. He's currently vacationing in Vancouver, trying to get a flight to get over to do an intercept somewhere in New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, not sure yet. So we're hoping we can get Aaron back as well. So fingers crossed that he can get a flight back over and get here before before landfall. And then I'll be in on Sunday with the tag teaming coverage with Jamie and Matthew Capucci, and then we'll have coverage as well on Monday with the team as well, potentially also with meteorologist Mike Linden. So lots to share with you guys in the coming days. We appreciate you guys so much for stopping in. I know we've got a couple of people in on the YouTube channel, so I'll take a look and see if there's any questions. I'll try and answer those real quick, and then I'll see you guys back here right around 11 p.m. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.